Welcome back, everybody. This is part 9 of my Bloodborne playthrough. We're starting off here in Odin Chapel, and we're going to go and find Alfred. We're going to talk to him and get the next part of his quest line underway. At least, we're going to find out exactly what he needs to get the next part of his quest line going. I probably could have taken a more direct route, but I forgot exactly where he was. So we just have to find him real quick. And he's right down this little corridor here.
Oh, good to see you safe. Now, let's think up something to discuss. Just tell me what piques your interest. There's something I want to tell you. A bit of wisdom from the eminent master Logarius. Once, a scholar betrayed his fellows at Bergenworth and brought forbidden blood back with him to Canehurst Castle. It was there that the first of the inhuman Vile Bloods was born. The Vile Bloods are fiendish creatures who threaten the purity of the Church's blood healing. The ruler of the Vile Bloods is still alive today. And so, to honor my master's wishes, I search for the path to Canehurst Castle. I bid you farewell. It has been a pleasure. May the good blood guide your way.
So, I'll talk more about Alfred and Canehurst and the Vile Bloods when we actually get to that area.
The password.
But for now, we're going to come talk to this dead body here and give him the password so that we can open the door to the Forbidden Woods. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of luck in the first part of the Forbidden Woods here. I died a couple of times, which you'll see. I took a pretty lengthy break of I'd say about a week and a half to 2 weeks in between recording this episode and the previous parts of my playthrough. So I was feeling a little bit rusty here. It was hard to get started out, basically. So, as for the last episode where we ended up talking to Simon and getting a little bit of dialogue from him about the Hunter's Nightmare, I don't really know a lot of the lore behind him. I don't really know if there's any sort of established lore to kind of tell who he is, really what he's doing there. If it's in item descriptions, I may have missed it, or I'm just not very well versed in the Old Hunters DLC as I would like to be. And you can see here, he's having a lot of trouble trying to parry this Executioner guy, just like last time we fought these things. He ends up getting one over on me because their reach really is just ridiculous. And it's not long before my next death either, so I'm just going to keep talking about other things. So you meet Simon in that area of the DLC, and he actually shows up 2 more times. And he's pretty important just because of the fact that he does give you a little bit of backstory to what might be going on in the DLC, in the places that he shows up in. And he is also the person who gives you Simon's Bowblade, and he gives you a key that will unlock a door to help you progress through that part of the game. But we will get more into that as it goes on. I just wanted to talk on that a little bit because of the fact that I decided to go into the first part of the DLC so early after we got the ability to do so. But now that we have gotten this dying part out of the way, we're going to go back and get some revenge on the two people that killed us. Forbidden Woods has always been sort of a thing of trouble for me. No matter how many times I run through this area, I always get lost. It took me forever to find that lantern when I did my first playthrough of the game many years ago. I honestly didn't even realize that there was a lantern at the beginning of this level, and every time I would die, I kept having to run back from Cathedral Ward. And that was super, super annoying. Yeah, see right there, I got my revenge on the Executioner guy. Actually landed a parry really, really well there. But anyways, for all the criticism that Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 gets for their bonfire placements, whether it is just too many or they're not spaced out enough and too close together, I feel that Bloodborne sort of has this problem where the lamps kind of blend in with certain environments, specifically this one in Forbidden Woods. It's hard to miss a glowing orange bonfire that's hanging out anywhere you go in the Souls games. But in this one, because of the fact that it's not really lit up that well, you can completely miss it in some areas. Also, I lied. We're about to die again. And then the other guy joined me. So yeah, that's not really a complaint or a criticism about the lamps. It's just something that I've noticed in some areas as I played through the game over the years. Namely in this area and possibly in Nightmare Frontier. I think that one sort of blends in with its environment as well. Right there, we just ran past a giant trap. That trap should honestly never really get you unless you stop on the thing that actually triggers it. But we're going to explore this area pretty heavily. There's a lot of really good enemy encounters in this area, I feel. This one in particular, you've got guys to the right that are trying to hit you with oil urns, and you have guys with torches that, if you get hit with those oil urns, will actually hit you with their torches and cause you to light on fire. And because of those urns that they're throwing at you, you're going to take a whole lot more damage than you would if you just got hit with the fire. And then you got the dogs that they're throwing at you. You have these little bonfires that are just hanging around here, so if you just happen to wander into one of those and get hit by the oil urns, you're going to take a lot of damage from that as well. So it doesn't really feel like it's unfair or anything like that, but they do throw a lot of enemies at you. But the enemies that they do throw at you are pretty slow, like the guys with the shields. They're really slow, so that's not going to really mess you up too much. In this area, you can get a lot of bloodstone shards. There's areas in here where you can get a few Carol runes. You can get a few decent blood gems. So all in all, this is the area where everything kind of starts to open up a little bit and really start to give you what you actually want to use to progress in the game. And you're going to fall down here, and you'll actually go into the town proper here. Sort of like a little shanty town village that was set up. If I remember right, the lore about this area is this is where they potentially found the entrance to the Thumerian ruins, which are the chalice dungeons that we explore. After this area, you find yourself in Bergenworth, which is the school run by Master Willem, and where Lawrence was first based. But of course, Lawrence decided that he wanted to use the blood that was found in the Thumerian ruins to heal people. Of course, Master Willem didn't want this, and that's the context of the cutscene that we see after we fight Vicar Amelia.
Oh, a hunter of beasts, are you? Glory be, you know not the value you possess. But more's the pity. The hours of the night are many, and the beasts more than I can count. A veritable hunt unending. Not even death offers solace, and the blood imbibes you. A most frightful fate. Oh my. But I'm willing to do you a kindness. Step lightly round to the right of the great cathedral and seek an ancient, shrouded church. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength. Yes, I'm unquestionably certain.
So I wanted to hit that wall because if you look closely through the cracks, you can see a guy that is just kind of sitting there. And I never tested it out before, but I wanted to see if you could actually hit him. Now, that wasn't the guy who was actually just talking to you. Also, don't open up that gate if you go through it and it closes on you, because those dogs will come and attack you, and I did not know that. But anyways, what I was saying was the person in that house who is talking to you might sound a little bit familiar. And we'll actually meet that character again face to face at some point. But for right now, we're just going to keep going on through this area. We're going to explore. We're going to pick up some items. Come up to the rooftops here. So for the people that are living here, you kind of see them as sort of similarly dressed to people who are actually in Yharnam right now. And that's because these people are apparently chased from the city a while ago. And after they were chased from the city, they kind of threw this little shanty town up and settled here. Now, why they were chased from the city, I am not entirely sure. I know the general lore of this area, and generally I know the lore of the game pretty decently. But there are little things here and there that I just don't really have any context for, and have never really thought to look up and try to find context for. These guys can throw these Molotov cocktails really, really far. And if you can, you definitely want to come up here and take these guys out. Because down there, below this bridge, the water is filled with some sort of gas or oil or something like that. Probably the same type of stuff that they use to fill the oil urns up with. And those guys will throw Molotov cocktails down there. They'll hit you and do a lot of damage because you're basically soaked in that stuff when you go through the water. So just to my left there, that is a pit. If you walk over that, it will eject you down into the ground there. So actually right here, I'm going to throw a Molotov cocktail and try to do as much damage to these guys as possible. Yeah, they take a ton of damage because of the stuff that they are in right now. So not only can you tell because it kind of has that little shiny, like sheen over it, that you can see in some angles when the light reflects off of the water. If you look right next to the item display in the top left, when I'm actually in the water, there is a little upside down triangle, and that'll actually tell you, like, hey, you have a status effect that negatively affects your fire resistance. You can see it right next to the Molotov cocktail there. And here, I'm just trying to do a little bit more exploring. I want to make sure that I can find it, at least most of the things that I'm trying to find in here. Now, you got guys with guns on top of these houses. It's really pretty fortified in this area. Makes for some really interesting encounters, like I said earlier. Off in the distance, you have a guy that is shooting a cannon at you. And that's pretty easy to avoid if you know what you're looking for, if you can hear it. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. And of course you're going to want to come in here and pick up some beast blood pellets because those are always going to be extremely helpful. And the more of those you can get without having to spend your insight or any blood echoes on them, the better. And I go back because there is actually an NPC that you can find uh, and send them back to Josephus Clinic or Odin Chapel. And I thought that he was around this area, around here. But we actually don't find him until a little bit later. But I go back to the beginning because I want to make sure that I have found everything that I could possibly find. There's an item up there. I'm trying to kind of figure out a way to get to it. I said it before, but this place can be very, very confusing. The second part, I feel, is way more confusing than the first part, but this definitely does have its share of confusing paths and everything, especially if you're trying to get on top of the houses. They have all kinds of different ramps and ladders and stuff that you can climb up, and some lead places, some don't lead really anywhere. And we got that Snatcher guy there. I believe that he can also take you to Yahar Ghul, but I've never tested that theory out. I assume that any Snatcher that you find in the main game will actually be able to take you to Yahar Ghul, at least until a certain point. The item that we just picked up is Beast Roar. What that does is if you use it near an enemy, it will actually propel them backwards. So think of it as like the Force Miracle from Dark Souls. I forget how many Quicksilver bullets it uses, but I know it uses some of them, just like all the other spells do in this game, if you really even want to call them spells. And now we have snakes. Those guys can be a pretty big issue, trying to get close to them. They have a lot of range with every attack that they do, because the snake heads just kind of reach out and try to bite you. They can poison you, and in general they just hit pretty hard. So anytime you run into those guys, you want to take them out as quick as you possibly can. I tried to sneak up on him and get a backstab, but unfortunately it did not work. He heard me and turned around before I could do it. And I don't know what I was doing right there. I don't know why I threw that Molotov cocktail at him. That took a lot longer to defeat than I intended to do. But we're going to come up this ladder here, and we're actually going to find that NPC that I was talking about a little bit ago. In here, we can also pick up the cannon, which is a pretty fun weapon to use, but it takes 10 Quicksilver bullets to use, so I've never really used it a whole lot. But I've seen some builds that use it, and it seems like a pretty fun tool to use in this game.
Whoa! Blimey, don't scare me like that. On a night like this, I took you for a monster. Oh, thank the stars, you're fairly normal. Was it you who put down that awful beast? Ooh, that thing had me trembling, frozen in my boots. And then you came along. Well, if you're a hunter, then would you know of any safe havens? I'll be. Thank you. It's about time I made a move. I can't very well stay out on my own. Oh, you're giving me hope. Terribly kind of you. Take this. It's all I can offer as thanks. Thank you. It's about time I made a move. I can't very well stay out on my own.
So you come up behind this guy, and he is eating people. So it is completely up to you if you want to send him to Odin Chapel. That's not where we decided to send him this time. Although, if you do send him there, his quest line is pretty cool. He kind of functions the same way as Lautrec does in Dark Souls, and he also functions the same way as a character does in Demon Souls, where he will kill people that you have basically saved. So that's why we did not want to send him to Odin Chapel. I think the character that I'm talking about in Demon Souls is Yurt. Although I could be wrong because it's been a very long time since I have played through Demon Souls, and probably even longer since I've done quest lines in that game. But right here, we are going to go up the elevator and open up one of these shortcuts. And we're going to talk to Walter and get some information on the co-op covenant in this game.
Ah, a new face, are you? And an accomplished hunter, it would appear. I am Walter, Master of the League. Members of the League cleanse the streets of all the filth that's spread about during the hunt. Like any half-decent hunter ought to, you know? Haven't you seen enough of these wretched beasts? Freakish slugs and mad doctors. Sentence these fiends to death with the help of your League confederates. What do you say? Why not join the League? Yes, as a hunter well should. Commit the start. Our own Carol rune, symbol of the League. The night brims with defiled scum and is permeated by their rotten stench. Just think, now you're all set to hunt and kill to your heart's content. Hunt in cooperation with your fellows, your League confederates. Now, there is one thing you must know. By the oath of the League, those who bear its rune will see vermin. Vermin writhe deep within all filth and are the root of man's impurity. All vermin are to be crushed. The League exists to expunge all vermin, ridding us until we are rid of all vermin, you must continue to hunt and kill. This bloody fate is ours alone. Do not expect the world to grasp our work. But remember, the Confederates will always have my blessing. And each other. Always. The League exists. This do not...
So Walter takes this thing pretty seriously. I like him. He is a very interesting NPC. I really like his dialogue and his voice work. Although I've never really done much with the League there. Just because getting back to this game at the time period that I have, never really been able to find much co-op. Although I notice that there are like forums and stuff like that that makes it pretty easy to get it. I've just never really done any of that with this game. So I just wanted to check out some blood gems and see if I could upgrade my weapon anymore, things like that. But that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. If you are liking this series, please feel free to subscribe, leave a like on the video, comment. I like to talk to people in the comments, especially about, Chalice dungeons that you feel I should check out, or just things in general that I should check out. Or if something I say is, wrong or something like that, please let me know, because I definitely want to be giving the right information. And if I do happen to have any information wrong, I will make sure to take care of that and address that in future videos. So again, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.